What's up, everyone? Welcome to another installment of Friday Q&A. If you've got questions you would like me to answer in next week's Q&A, leave them in the comments below. You can support the channel using several of the links in the video description, and we're just going to get straight into answering some questions. Shout out to Steven, who was one of the first people to comment on all of my videos. I got the strat out for you today, Steve. So, been listening to a lot of Toto's Kingdom of Desire album this week, and that was like the era of SRV on steroids, so just a strat with a bit more gain, some chorus, some delay, all the good stuff. So that's what I'm rolling with today before I answer some questions. That is a really satisfying sound to play. I don't know if it's pleasant at all to listen to, but it's fun to play. That's a large part of the point. So, first question, am I going to do another long video with the Cygnus firmware for the Axe-FX 3 now that it's out? Yes, I'm going to put that one up tomorrow. I haven't filmed it because I want you all to let me know what amp models should I check out in that video. What do you want some help dialing in? Let me know in the video description, not the video description, the comments. Let me know in the comments and I will try and cook that one up for you all tomorrow. That should be a whole lot of fun. I'm really glad people enjoyed that extended, what was like 47-minute long video dialing in some amps. So I'm more than happy to do more of that, the stream of consciousness stuff. Next question, what do I think of Mike Orlando's playing? Ridiculous. That dude is a maniac on the guitar. I've only really checked out his stuff with knnMWCsPrS because I love Russell Allen's singing. If Russell Allen is on it, I will probably buy it and listen to it. But he's got this just insane right hand happening. It's like Zakk Wylde cross Paul Gilbert, taken to another level as well. Really, really good stuff. Go and check out Mike's playing and the knnMWCsPrS stuff as well. Very, very impressive. Can I think of a reason to take my Mark IV to a gig instead of my FM3? I can think of several reasons. I mean, amps look cool on stage. That's one thing I really miss about using a floor-based modeler. You don't have anything behind you, and you know, to me, it's still like Wall of Marshalls or Boogie is the cool thing to have at a show. I need to pull it out for a show at some point and just do it. I'm a little bit cautious about how fiddly it's going to be because, you know, Mark series are fiddly to dial in a controlled environment like the studio, let alone live. But, you know, just being able to play something loud is an excuse enough, I think. I would probably still use it with the FM3 for effects in that case, though. So, yeah. Excellent little question. What's my favorite wah pedal? There's an easy one for me, the Buddha Boudoir. You didn't all expect to hear that, did you? One of my good friends owned one, loaned it to me when we were recording the Ragdoll Here Today EP. It ended up on everything. I immediately went out and bought one. I liked it so much. So yeah, for a physical wah, the Boudoir is still my favorite. I used it all the way up until I went digital with my rig, and I've still got it hanging up here. I should pull it out and do a demo with the old noisy thing. It's kind of fun, and it's purple as well. Purple makes things sound better. Shout out to friend of the channel, Troy Nababan, who was a big subscriber to the Purple Makes Things Sound Better philosophy. Moving along, two bands to check out. Have I checked out Night Demon? Yes, love the old school new wave of British heavy metal vibe. Something about them reminds me of a band I listened to a lot in my teens called Icarus Witch. They don't really sound like one another, but I think kind of aesthetically and musically they're coming from a similar place. So Icarus Witch had some cool stuff. It really reminded me of old Maiden and Saxon and Priest, which if I was 15, Night Demon would probably be my favorite new band. And I checked out Love Bites and I listened to a song and then I watched a video, and seeing the people who made that music really challenged my preconceptions. That was pretty amazing. So I would encourage people to do the same experiment. Go and listen to Love Bites, some great kind of, you know, old school influenced metal, and then go and check out who's making it. It's amazing. Next one, the Eventide H9000. I would love to get one of those at the studio and check it out. It would be total overkill for me, but that has never held me back in any other case. And from what I can understand, not only is it insanely powerful, so you can chain a lot of Eventide algos together, but there's some exclusive ones in there. So I would like to do it just to check out those kind of exclusive ones and maybe play around with VSig a bit, because that looks like the next level when it comes to rabbit holes there. And from one end of the spectrum to the other, the Zoom MS50G, never tried one, but I always figure if I can make a Pocket Pod sound all right, I can probably do a similar thing with the Zoom. I do want to do a video with Zoom's range of modelers at some point. So hopefully at some point this year, I will get around to doing that one. This guitar is so nice to play. My favorite Elixir coating is the knnWeb coating. I've tried OptiWebs. They felt a lot like a non-coated string, which if you don't like coated strings, get some Optis because they're coated, but they don't feel like it. And the Polywebs, which really feel sticky and coated. So yeah, I'm all on with the knnWebs. I like the slippery feel, but I like that they're not too, you know, a rubbery feeling, or whatever the word would be there. So yeah, I'm all in with the nanos. Absolutely love them. Vinnie Moore. I keep going on about Paul Gilbert on this channel and how much I learnt from Intense Rock Volume 1. What is it? Speed, Accuracy, and Articulation. Was that Vinnie's VHS video? Whatever one it was the second instructional video I had, and I learnt so much about it. I think I learnt all the 3-note per scale shapes from that video, and I love that he does a bunch of those runs, but he does a bunch of like single string things as well, where he's just picking lines like... That was garbage. You can tell I haven't practiced that stuff for about 15 years. But Vinnie's amazing. I kind of overlooked just how fluent he was when I first checked him out. But going back and watching his stuff, it's just sublime. I love his legato feel on there, and the way he ramps up with his lines. Really sweet player to listen to. Love me some Vinnie Moore. Tips for ear training. I have kind of 3 standard ones I recommend to people. One is work out songs by ear, slow them down, and don't think about anything else, and just like, I want to get a couple of notes and trial and error your way through it. I started doing that in my teens, and it was just amazing because there were so many songs that there weren't guitar tab for, but I could figure them out. And if I figured them out wrong, I could just turn it into one of my own songs as well. So do that. Definitely practice some basic singing stuff, even if you're humming, and practice like singing basic intervals. So for example, if you're in C, so you play a C and then you sing the 5th, and then you sing the 3rd. That kind of thing where you sing basic arpeggios. I had a bunch of CDs by a guy called Brett Manning who does the speech level singing stuff, and I'm a horrendous singer, but I feel like doing those exercises really just helped my ears recognize things. So do that, and then there's a bunch of apps like the Functional Ear Trainer, which is really good for just kind of basic ear training stuff. I think that's a free app as well. You should check that one out. It's kind of a fun little thing that you can do. You can do it while you're just watching TV or something like that. You don't have to be super engaged, but it's all about intervals, ear training and relative pitch. Get those intervals down and go and have some fun. All right, I'm not gonna hum anymore in this video either. What is the next question? Preferences for necks. I'm not into the super thin Ibanez Wizard thing. You know, a bunch of my PRS guitars have the wide thin. I think I like the wide fat. Basically, whatever is on my 2008 stock SC245. It's probably my favorite neck, or my Hamer, which has a bit more of that 50s Les Paul shape. I tend to go for the fatter necks because I'm a tall person with larger hands and just a little bit more comfortable for me. But yeah, unless it's like super duper thin or weird, I'm pretty much on board with anything when it comes to necks. This one is a 77. I don't know what C shape or D shape or any of those things mean. I know they refer to errors, but it's one of those things where I've just never paid attention. So I actually just could not tell you what I like, but I know what I like. What does this one say? I cannot even make out my own handwriting. This is absolutely shocking. I apologize. But the next question is, if George Harrison wasn't in the Beatles, would people regard him more as an excellent guitar player? I would say yes, because if you look at the individual members of the Beatles, Ringo included, as instrumentalists, they're all pretty fantastic. But, you know, being in the most culturally significant band to Western pop music of all time is probably going to override individual prowess. So, yeah, I'm sure George would have been happier as somebody who knew people loved his songs rather than people loved his guitar playing. And I feel like that as well. Like, I feel way better about myself, and just, I don't know, it's kind of the reason I make music, is why someone comes up to me at a show and says, hey, I really love that song you guys played. That means like 1,000 times more than someone coming up to me and saying, hey, I really like your guitar playing, which I still, you know, I've learned to take that compliment and say, hey, thank you, that's awesome. But I don't know, it means a little bit more the whole song thing as a tradition that gets passed on from person to person. That's kind of the power of music. So yeah, Deep Purple Mark III and the Burn album is one of my earliest reference points for rock music, to the person who left this question, because I'm glad it is for you as well. One of the first live concerts I ever saw on tape was California Jam. So you got Coverdale out there doing his thing, you got Glenn Hughes shrieking, Blackmore blowing stuff up. That's ground zero for rock and roll performance for me. And of course we have... You can all fill in the rest from there. Yeah, I still love that concert. So good. Especially Coverdale in that band. Like his voice, the soul, just the gutsiness in it is, God tier. Absolutely love it. Next question, the Boss DE200. I haven't tried one. I'm trying to find, what was it, the CE300 or 200? But I just got one of these. Check that out. The little half rack. There's going to be a video on these recently. And shout out to Ryan from Plagueside Studios, because he just did a video with some of the Boss half rack stuff as well. So I will have a video on that coming up. And if I can find a DE200, I will do a video with it as well. What are my thoughts on the Quad Cortex? Few of my friends have them now, and a few people on the Discord server, which, by the way, if you want to join my Discord server, there's a link in the video description there. They seem to be pretty chuffed by it. The capture definitely seems like the big thing at the moment. I had a friend of mine capture some of my amps, so you can go to the QC Discord in the cloud and find profiles of my Molecular and my Mark IV. Shout out to Ryan from Chaos Divine, great band to check out as well, if you're into modern prog stuff as well. So he borrowed some of mine and profiled them with his Quad Cortex, and seems pretty stoked with that. So yeah, whether it's as revolutionary as all the marketing spiel made it out to be, it seems like no, it's just another thing that sounds really good, but it seems like they've nailed a bunch of stuff as well. So yeah, I kind of can't really make an objective decision on whether I think it's great or not. I'm sure it's fantastic until I can try one, and I will do my best to try one at some point over the next couple of months, hopefully borrow one or get one on loan. That would be a lot of fun. Next question, Marshall Origin or Cherrytone Son of Yeti? I think the Son of Yeti is the way to go for a lot of reasons. One, you just have so much more control in there, as long as you get used to kind of the switches and things like that, but it's honestly one of the best sounding Marshall style amps I've ever played, not just for the fact that it's small, it absolutely slays. I love that it's got 6v6s in the power section. That is a brilliant amp, hands down. That will go head to head with anything else in its form factor, and definitely for the money. It is pretty hard to beat. The Axe-Fx 3 through a JC120. I've never tried that one, unfortunately, but I imagine it would work. The JC120's stereo and solid state, so you could probably crank it right up and get stereo effects out of it. Might be a cool thing to do. My favorite amp-like reverb, probably the Anarchy Audio, what is it, the spring driver? So it's an actual Accutronics spring reverb tank hooked up to a pedal. So it basically is an amp reverb. That one's really, really cool. And then you can kick it and you can get a bunch of like fun effects like that. The Strymon Flint is pretty awesome as well. Is it worth getting a $3,000 PRS plect? I think it's worth getting a scan, at least, if you can get a scan somewhere. Whether it's a $300 guitar or a $3,000 guitar, if, you know, a neck has a ski jump or there's some unleveled frets or there's some inconsistencies in there, it's worth getting it sorted out. The thing I like about the whole plect process isn't really the machine doing stuff. That's kind of novel and cool, but you need a human being to interpret the data there, and it just gives you very accurate data. So yeah, if you think it needs it, it probably needs it. This next one, what do I think about brutal death metal bands like Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel? I love some Morbid Angel, Pestilence. It's not my everyday music, as you can probably guess, but I still remember hearing Hammer Smashed Face for the first time, and it scared me. Do you guys remember when music scared you? Like you would be almost terrified to turn a song up too loud or something like that? You know, you'd have the CD and what's the Cattle Decapitation, Humanure, like that album cover? I remember a buddy of mine had that and I just refused to open it. I was like, no, man, that is going to be too terrifying to listen to. Oh, wow. Yeah, back when Cradle of Filth was like the heaviest thing I'd ever heard, and then hearing Cannibal Corpse was... And then you realize, like, you know, Corpse Grinder just seems like the nicest family man in the world. So, yeah, just because you make art that does one thing, that doesn't mean that you're that sort of person. I think that's something people have to remember. Anyway, one last question for this week before I play you all out. Can you meet my dad on the channel? Leave a comment if you want me to do a video with my dad, or you want him to come in and play some stuff. Maybe I just assembled this giant 14-space refrigerator rack over here. If you want to hear him through the 14-piece rack of doom, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be good to one another, be kind to yourselves as well. It's a hard thing to do. Harder than you expect sometimes, to just be kind to yourself and, you know, sit down for half an hour and let yourself play some guitar guilt-free. But I encourage you all to do it, and I will see you all next week. Thanks for watching.